Hey everyone, welcome to r/Tales from Tech Support, where we get to have a little chuckle at the technologically disadvantaged. Like me. I'm Uncle Reddit, and have I got a story for you. Abandon hope, all ye who enter this vile system. I bet a non-zero number of you already have a good guess as to how this tale will end, based on the title alone. But for those of you who don't, heed my warning and do not repeat my mistake. Like many offices, mine was a realm of those who have rejected corporate values by yielding to nasty emails or violent outbursts, or by perverting their human intellect to fraud or malice against their IT department. You know, the usual stuff. But one day my coworker, who we'll call Virgil, came to me with a very simple problem. Virgil: "Why, Dak, can you show me a faster way to find the file I'm looking for in the shared drive?" Me: "Sure thing, Virgil, check this out. Aside from sorting everything by name, you can also start typing the name of the file you're looking for and it will automatically select it." Virgil: "Wow, that's great, thank you." But little did I realize the events I had set in motion. A few days later there came a rumbling from deep within the bowels of the office. "Wydak, get in here!" Crap. Boss: "I hear you showed Virgil a fast way to find his files." Me: "You mean the typing thing? Yeah, super handy, isn't it?" Boss: "Show me." Me: "Types a bit of a file name. Handy, right?" Boss: "That's too complicated. Show me something easier so I can access my file faster. I want it at the top of the list." Me: "Well, sometimes I'll put an exclamation mark at the front of the readme so it shows up at the top of the list. As long as you only need one file there, it's pretty handy." Boss: "Do it." Me: "You want me to?" "Oh, okay." And so I did. Boss was happy her file was at the top of the list, and all was well, for about 3 days. Virgil: "Wydak, help, I can't find the file I need by typing anymore." Me: "Oh no, what happened?" Virgil: "Everyone started putting exclamation marks at the beginning of their file names, so they're at the top of the list. Look, this one's got 5 in front and 3 at the back. Darn it, Carol just added another one to hers, and I dropped 6 places." Me: "Excuse me, I need to go cry in the restroom." The exclamation marks spread across the shared drive like locusts through a wheat field. There was no stopping them until some paths ended up exceeding the 255 character limit, and even then, it only stemmed the tide. The eventual solution was that only my boss was allowed to use the exclamation marks outside her own folder, but there was no victory that day. I don't know what that company's folder structure looks like now, but I suspect my life is better for that fact. Well, damn, OP, you opened Pandora's box with that one. Never go full hipster. In my company, we have a special attitude to people buying non-typical equipment. Everyone is buying Latitude 5510 for work, and you ordered a Lenovo Y540? Fine, but we'll keep an eye on you. You insisted on working on an OKI printer instead of a traditional Brother? Don't expect service to be as smooth as usual. Parts do need to travel from across the world. This one guy ordered a Lenovo Legion 5 with a GTX 1660 Ti for work. His explanation was, "I'm a trainer. I'm creating lots of presentations in different programs. I need to have a powerful device while still being mobile, as I tend to travel across the country." Fair enough. The laptop took 1 week to arrive. The basic configuration was simple, but his programs took yet another week to install, as we have a very strict policy about licenses, which, by the way, were over a decade old. The activation codes were stored somewhere on the manufacturer's server, and what's even worse, finding the installation files was a nightmare. Sadly, this is just the beginning. 3 months in, the customer complains that the thin plastic frame around the screen is cracked. He sends us a picture, and there clearly is a crack. We had 2 options: either take his only tool for a workaway and send it to the manufacturer for a replacement, or order the part and replace it ourselves. He chose option number 2. That simple part, just a screen frame, took 1 month to arrive. In the meantime, another crack appeared on the original frame. Finally, I've got both the laptop and the frame on my desk. I start popping the darn thing off and realize it's glued to the screen itself. Obviously, this is yet another hindrance, but I managed to remove most of the glue and apply the new frame. Now, being a bit lazy, I decide not to glue the new piece in, as it might crack again in the future. Or even better, the glue held it so tight that some forces from slight bending the screen, as you closed it, stubborn hinges, might have caused the initial crack. Next day, the customer arrives. He's very much a pedantic man who would like to know everything about the repair. So I go on to explaining what I've done, and he rudely interrupts me with a, "Why on earth would somebody glue the bloody thing in? What a stupid idea," and looked me in the eyes as if it was my fault. I immediately parry this with, "You see, this is not your typical business laptop. This device is meant to be used by gamers, and normally gamers don't care much about tiny cracks on one piece of plastic that they don't even notice." That shuts him up for good. He takes his laptop, gives me a stare saying, "Sorry to trouble you," and walks away. Fast forward another 2 weeks and there's a new crack. Now, I don't know much about material science, but this type of plastic must have been made to last very short and crack like leather exposed to sun for a long time. And guess who got politely told to bugger off with this non-important issue with the laptop? Yeah, that sounds like a manufacturing issue to me. They're using some cheap part or some poor design, but either way, this guy thought he was more special than everybody else in the company, so screw it. Dang printers. If you keep hitting print, it'll work eventually, right? Another beer for work tale at my local market. So my local market is great. Great deli, also a liquor store, and all the stuff you'll need. Local veggies. It's great. I go in there and load up on some stuff, check out, and the owner, my buddy, comes in and says, "Hey, my printer won't print, but it'll copy. I need to print out employee schedules big time. Want to have a look?" Thinking to myself, no, I really don't, as I've got stuff to do and F printers. But what the heck, right? He's a buddy. So I look on this Epson multifunction sucker, which is showing an error out of paper. But he hits the copy button, which scans and copies whatever's on the scanner bed, and it works. I open up the paper tray door, which is full of paper and looks okay, and notice his plant has a leaf stuck in it. Like when you close the door, this plant is in the way, so it's shoved in there. I move the plant away a bit, slam the door shut. Then 10,000 of his print jobs come spitting out. He's like, "Oh no!" So I get in the spool and kill most of them. I'm like, dude, if it isn't printing, don't keep sending it more print commands. And move your darn plant, which must have screwed up the sensor or something. Not sure, but after that it worked. 5-minute fix. Half a case of Sierra Nevada and I go home. Man, I hate printers. So you're telling me this guy checked to make sure his paper was loaded but didn't notice the big plant leaf sticking through the door? Oh well, at least you got some beer out of the deal. I love the smell of hot paper in the morning. I'm sitting in my office pretending to do work when a coworker stops by my office. They tell me that a long report has been printing on the main printer for a few minutes and it isn't stopping. I take a look at the print queue, but the job's gone already, so we both head down to the printer to see what's up. Sure enough, there's what amounts to a hot ream of paper sitting in the out tray, with more pages coming after it. I cancel the print. There's a big button on the printer screen that says Cancel Job. This will be important for later. And I take a look at some of the printed papers. It's customer-related charges, info that's usually secured, and there's a lot of it. No one's coming out to claim their newly printed tree, so I begin the process of finding out who the culprit was. I ask a few of the offices around, but no one fesses up. I'm worried no one will at all, until I round the corner of our newest program manager's office. He's red, embarrassed red. I'm sure he could hear me asking down the hallway, getting closer and closer to him. Me. "Hey, did you print something from the system?" I ask, pretending like I can't feel the heat coming off of him. Him. "Yeah, I printed it by accident." Me. "Okay." Him. "Yeah, and I didn't know how to cancel the job." I blink, and in a few seconds of silence, I scream in my head, "You didn't see the large cancel job button? Or think to ask someone? You were just going to let 400 pages of quasi-confidential information print out for no reason?" Instead, I said, "Please let me know as soon as possible the next time something like this happens. The job can be canceled right on the printer." He nodded. I dumped a stack of paper in the shredder bin on my way back to my office, and I had mentally removed him from my people who have 2 brain cells to rub together list. Instead of just sitting in the office, you'd think he would have ran to the printer to try to look at it and see if there was a message or something. Even on the old printers without a readout screen, there was still a big red button that said stop/cancel. Holy cow. There's no way this system will still be running in a decade. We don't need offboarding. When you're dealing with systems that haven't had proper support for years, you're inevitably going to run into landmines. My boss had been away on sick leave for a while, and it was just extended further. As such, I delegated his approval task to myself so we could get the low-impact stuff moving. Part of that was approving people for access to this ancient ordering system. I approved the 30 pending requests and go on with my day. Today I wake up to a few messages from new people. No license available. Wait, what? Oh, right, we're limited to 4,000 licenses. There's no way we have 4,000 active users. After digging up the database info, it turns out that we have licensed users that last logged in 2011. Is there any automated method of cleaning out licenses for offboarded users? No. Is there any manual way that I can trigger? No. Did anyone at any point create some way of handling user licenses? Adding, removing licenses in bulk? Anything at all? No. Oh, and is there a test or dev environment for the system? Also no. After double checking that I still have the email from my boss, giving me full authority to do whatever I deem necessary with this outdated system, and absolving me from any consequences if it breaks due to lack of training in the system, I get to work. SQL update. All users with a license that have not started the session since 1/1/2020, remove license. 2,912 records updated. 1,088 users still have a license. Every user I know has logged on recently still has a license. Service desk informed. No issues should arise, but if they do, I'm to blame. Postmortem sent to my boss and Scrum Master. Sweating gradually decreasing. The system didn't explode. Another day saved. Well, it looks like your boss picked the right person to cover for him. Yeah, most people wouldn't even think to dig that deep to figure out how to fix the problem. Good on you. Circular reasoning works because circular reasoning works because... Came across this gem today while trying to clean up some old tickets that have been lying around for far too long, and haven't stopped laughing about it yet. Figured it would give everyone here a good laugh too. User calls the service desk, reports having issues connecting to Citrix. Agent does standard troubleshooting, still not working, so it gets sent to Tier 2 for further assistance, except there's a key piece of information missing. A very key piece. Perhaps the most important part of all. The friggin' name of the user. Now, our ticketing system is a hot piece of junk, so if you don't put the user's name in the correct spot, it defaults it to the agent who made the ticket, because reasons. I don't get nearly paid enough to make those decisions. So naturally, Tier 2 sent it right back because they have no way of contacting the user having the issue, and to re-escalate it with the correct information. Agent realized their mistake, updated the ticket properly, and the end user got their help, right? Come on now, it wouldn't be a Tales from Tech Support story if it ended there. When the ticket comes back, a different agent picks it up, and looked at the comments and reached out to the initial agent to add in the end user's name, right? Nope. Immediately sends the ticket back to Tier 2 without ever looking at the comments. Luckily, I grabbed it the third time around so we can get off this ride now. Well, except for the inevitable conversations those two agents are going to need about proper documentation. But those kind of conversations require a special kind of drink, and I'm pretty thirsty right about now. Yeah, that's that whole not my job mentality. I did my part, I'm just going to kick it on. I mean, some of it may be lack of training, some of it's laziness, who knows. Or bitter, disgruntled workers. There's always that. Hard drives are hard. A little short story. Working in a public school isn't the easiest IT gig. Budgets are tight and there's quite a make do and mend and don't fix what isn't broken attitude to IT procurement. That make do and mend philosophy had me retrofitting SSDs into machines that were otherwise acceptably spec'd. 3rd gen i5s, 4GB of RAM, enough to work with. This left us with a stack of 3.5-inch hard drives of various capacities, mainly 320GB and 500GB. Well, time comes to clear out some space. The 320 gigs are just a bit too small and slow to be of use, but the 500 gig drives probably still have some life on them, so we pull the several 320s off the shelf and go ham with the data protection officer, also known as a ball-peen hammer. You call that a hammer? This is a hammer. Our site manager comes rolling along with his 6-pound sledgehammer, despite the progress we're making beating the living crap out of these drives. Site manager wants to show off his might. Whack! One drive completely obliterated. I bet I can speed it up if I stack them. Whack! 2 drives obliterated in one stroke. He stacks 3 up. Whack! Ow! As he hit the stack, one of the drives flung up, bounced and got him right in the gentleman's vegetables. After recovering from the plum shot and hit on his pride, he decided to leave data destruction to the IT department. Yep, there's always that one guy who will invariably show off and end up injuring himself in the process. I used Google before calling. I do phone support, and most callers don't bother with any sort of troubleshooting before calling in, until today. I do my greeting and get, "I hate to call you for something this simple. I used Google to find the fix, but it's not working. Insert surprise Pikachu face here." I verified that the user did in fact try the correct fix for Outlook, not showing new messages notification by the clock, and that all the settings were correct. Using my Google foo, I found a more detailed fix for the issue. Put Outlook in cache mode, and everything's back to normal. Now if we can just get them to reboot before calling. Yeah, that's the first thing I tell people. You know what? If all else fails, reboot. It may not fix anything, but it's a start. And when you're done with whatever fix that you think you found, reboot again. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you've enjoyed these stories, would you do me a favor? Would you consider giving this video a like? Subscribe to the channel, and maybe click that little bell icon so you don't miss the fat guy with the beard telling you stories. See ya!